Hey guys, Adam here with Anabolic Climbing, and today we're going to go through the Enhanced Climbing Checklist Volume 1. Volume 2 might happen a little bit down the way after I've had some more experience on the Sazul, but for now, let's go through what I consider to be the 10 commandments of enhanced climbing. Number 1, fingerboarding. Low intensity, 2 times a day, every day. Preventing overcranking, making sure your fingers feel warmed up and solid, is kind of rule 0 for me right now. We've seen the documentation on Emil Abramson being able to increase overall hang time and even pull strength coming from this protocol. It's super low intensity. It's not something that's going to get us pumped out. It is preventative. It will also make us stronger. And considering that our muscle will grow faster than our tendons, this seems like ideal conditioning for our tendons to make sure we can get as strong as possible, as safe as possible. Number 2, cardio. Don't skip it. Hell, do it fasted. Anabolics are hard on the heart, hard on the blood pressure, and to be honest, it helps us on the wall as well. I have noticed a slight decrease in my gas tank since starting some low-dose sauce, and I definitely think that the cardio helps to mitigate that a decent amount. Also, better cardio means more likely to get the send and helping us spend more time on the wall. Who doesn't want to mitigate the calories that we also need to do to both be leaner, as well as not let the scale get away from us? And that brings us to number 3. Keep your calories consistent. Don't eat like shit. Don't do it. We are always fighting the scale as rock climbers, and it's way easier to grow while your androgens are higher, whether that's in the form of testosterone, oxandrolone, or any other pharmacology you decide to deploy. It just makes all the sense in the world to stay as light as possible. I'm not saying don't do cheat days. I'm saying don't eat like an asshole. And this kind of goes without saying, but I want to specify this anyway. Do not start gear if you're fat. If you can't see abs, you should not hop on the sauce. And there's a few reasons for that. Number 1, your eating should be dialed in before you decide to add something like test, since you're going to be growing. And number 2, and this is kind of the more important part, you don't want aromatization. Gyno is a pain in the ass, and nobody wants to grow boobs as a dude. Number 4 should have been number 1 to me. Shout out if you know the big pun reference. Blood work. Do not skip it. This is not optional. You need to know how your blood work is when things are good, and you need to know what looks bad and when it's time to come off. You should be getting your blood work every 4 to 6 weeks if you're enhanced. And if you're not, you should be getting it done every 3 to 4 months anyways, in my opinion. Can you do once a year? Sure, it's your life. I'm not your dad. But you will definitely be glad to have this data, particularly as you start playing around with pharmacology for yourself. Number 5, when lifting, no ego lifting, full range of motion, control the weight, go slow. There's no reason to go full retard and pull as hard as you possibly can. When you see me on the wall grunting, that's probably over an hour, hour and a half into my session after I'm super warm. You do not want to be overcranking. You do not want any nagging injuries to flare up because they are primed to. Personally speaking, I have limited range of motion on my middle finger because I have a bump that I'm not sure what it's from. I tweaked my bicep tendon about 5 years ago, and most of the time it's good until it's not. Proper warm-ups, making sure that you stay on top of your PT are all ways to mitigate making something that is something that you can work around, something that could end your season. Next up, listen to your body, no matter what it is telling you. Feeling strong? Go for it. Feeling like things are about to get tweaky? Back off. There's nothing wrong with it. I would also say lean more into your preferred style, especially if you're enhanced. If you like big moves on big holds and you're warmed up, go for that. If you're the big moves on big holds guys and all of a sudden you find yourself cranking on an overhung crimp, maybe don't try to expand the repertoire this early in your enhanced career. Pushing grades is super fun. It's even harder when the psych is like all the way up to 11. But, you know, think about gear as putting NOS on the car, and whatever you've built in your body is the car that you rock. If you're if you're a supercar, God bless, but a lot of us in our 30s or 40s are El Caminos trying not to blow the brakes off of everything. So be mindful, is what I'm trying to say. And for that matter, do not hop on until you've mastered all of the above, and do not speed run an injury. You should have been climbing for a few years at the bare minimum. You want to be climbing for a long time, not just a good time. And if you start cranking up gear, cranking up doses, pulling super hard when you do not warm up properly, take care of blood work, condition your weak points, you are speed running an injury in no time. Next up, whatever you need to do to keep your blood work in check, any ancillaries that you have, take them. Don't fight it. Are you taking Anavar so you should do some TUDCA to help out your liver enzymes? Do it. Is your blood pressure climbing high so you need a statin? Take it. Have you been hitting the sweets too hard and need some metformin to make sure your insulin levels don't go too crazy? Do it. Whatever you need to do to stay healthy, to keep your blood markers good, to prevent non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, to keep whatever underlying health markers you need to have for your own personal genetics, these are your responsibility, and it will keep you climbing longer and enhanced for as long as you can, just by taking care of the basics. Which brings us to next, don't be stupid with recreational drugs. If you're taking things like testosterone or any androgens, you should definitely stay away from amphetamines, or uppers in that matter. It will impact your blood pressure negatively. Your heart's already working a little harder than it should be. You don't need to have a heart attack. That also includes the Viagra. Keep it to the Dapafil, boys. If you're doing any orals, stay away from alcohol. I'm not your dad, but these are ridiculously dumb things to do. Don't be a child. Don't abuse rec drugs and anabolics together. If you have to, I'm not your dad. Weed shouldn't negatively impact this unless it won't help you stick to your protocol. You could probably get away with shrooms or LSD. I don't advise it, but that said, I'm not your dad. Be responsible responsibly in all things. And on that note of being responsible, the last one is go low and slow. You can do this for potentially a really long time if you don't go too fast. And also, you've been at baseline hormones probably your entire life. If you start cranking up doses out of nowhere, good lord, you will get mood swings, you will get irritable, you will get wildly emotional because your testosterone and your estrogen are going up in tandem. And I've heard all sorts of wild stories from I want to break up with my girlfriend, what am I doing, why am I... Be patient. Relax. You could always up the dose later. There's no need to speed run this. Low and slow has been my mantra in most things because you could always take more tomorrow. So look, try things out, see how you feel in the gym and out. Is it affecting your work? Is it affecting your sleep? Get everything dialed in, modulate as necessary, and also making sure you don't go too crazy too fast. Again, injury prevention. It just makes good sense. So, with that said, be smart, be safe, and yeah, keep going on the journey. Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. If you've made it this far, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Anabolic Climbing wishing you a happy new year of beautiful sends and dinos, and I'll see more of you guys coming up. Take care.